If you're watching me right now, there's a good chance you're going to say, hey, I'm feeling very confident as a physical therapist. My clinical skills are really good. I'm actually able to get good results, but I want to have it done my way. I want to have a company culture that I feel good about. I want to pick the colors. I want to pick the layout. I want to pick the equipment and the programs. So here we are now on our fifth part of our 5-part series, our student series. And the idea behind the student series was for you as a new grad or a graduating physical therapist to really think about your career path going in the direction of ownership. And in the direction of private practice ownership, the main reason why people seek that is because they're seeking a higher degree of freedom. And freedom, by my definition, is being financially stable, having all the finances that you need to afford all the things that you are planning for and envisioning in your life, while having maximum flexibility in time, maximum time flexibility that allows you to optimize where you want to be doing the things that you value most. So when you can afford financially and time-wise the ability to do the things that you value most, you're living the freest life you possibly can, in my opinion. It doesn't matter what you choose to do. It just matters what your vision is for your life, what's most important to you, what you value most, where you want to spend your hard-working dollars and time, energy, efforts, and skills, if you will, that bring you the greatest amount of joy, happiness, and pleasure, both for yourself and those around you. And for a lot of people, it's practice ownership if you're a physical therapist. Some of us really succeed quite well in life with that work-life balance of being a staff therapist and having a great career and helping others, and it's extremely fulfilling, and we have no greater wants than that. I want to go to work, I want to see my patients, I want to do the best job I can, I want to be the best clinician I can. I was that person for 5 years. When I got out of PT school, I just wanted to be that PT that people would line up to come see. I wanted to be that therapist that my name was on the script that the doctors would send to the clinic. Didn't matter to me who owned the clinic. I was in that clinic. I was a treating manual therapist. I did 33 Con Ed courses in manual therapy and orthopedics to be that therapist that people would write their name on and say, you have to go see Brian. And when I achieved that, it was very fulfilling and very rewarding. And if that was it for me and my DNA was satisfied and I was happy and there was no greater wants in my heart and gut, then I would have stayed doing that forever and been a happy therapist. And that may be, 50% of you who are watching this right now, just wanting to be that mentoring therapist, that supervising therapist, that highly skilled, highly trained individual that's bringing great results to your patients. And you know in your heart that you're changing lives, right? And that's fulfilling enough. Fantastic. Some people feel that when they get to that point, they need a greater game. They need a bigger game. They need more challenge. They're happy being a clinician, but they know they're capable of more. And they go into the entrepreneur, the partner, the person who owns the practice per se, sees you doing really well, wants to reward you, wants to retain you, of course. You're a gem in their business. They'll give you a junior partnership or a profit sharing program or an incentive, and it's a nice shiny object and it's zipping by and you go for it because you're that entrepreneur and you're like, I want to be a part of this and I want to have a greater autonomy and bring in my women's health program or bring in my vestibular program and run it and manage it. And that's really great. And you get a higher exchange, you get a higher reward for doing so. You're an entrepreneur, very satisfying, very fulfilling. Your exchange financially is greater. You get a little bit greater benefits, and that's fantastic. But at some point, there are people within that world, in that track, and they say, well, wait a minute. No matter what I do over the next 5, 10, 15 years, I'm still not in control of my income. Somebody's determining how much money I make. I'm still not in control of my hours. Somebody's setting the hours for me. I still can't take time off whenever I want. I still have to get permission to get time off. I still can't change my benefits other than what I'm being offered. So I'm still working for somebody else. Even though you're an entrepreneur, you are still beholden to somebody else who's pulling the strings on where your career is going to go, maximize, what level it's going to elevate to. And that's fine if you're okay with it, but there's a lot of people that are blissfully discontent. And I say that a lot. If you're one of those people and you're blissfully discontent and you're like, no, I want to jump out of the passenger seat. I don't want a snapshot of me to look much different. I was just going to say, my reference is a snapshot of you today. How much is that going to change in 5 years or 10 years? Is it going to be a $10,000 change in salary and that's it? And everything you're doing is all basically the same? Are you going to just be at a different location, but it's all basically the same? A lot of people like myself, maybe like you, have the DNA to be like, no, I want to jump out of that passenger seat. I want to grab that steering wheel of life. I want to plot my own course. I want to determine my own income. I want to determine my own benefit package and my time off and where I spend my vacations and when I spend time with my family or friends or at work and program developments, whether I want one office or multiple offices. So becoming a private practice owner then becomes your destiny. That becomes your career path. Here's my advice. After 30 years of doing this, opening 6 clinics and selling them and selling my practice twice and helping others buy and sell their practice multiple times, multiple owners and not the same owner, I've come to the conclusion that you have to first and foremost to be a successful private practice owner. And trust me, I have never had a startup not succeed. Every single startup we have ever worked on here at Meg Academy and Meg Business Management has always succeeded, going all the way back to 2006. I did 28 in just the last year and a half. And here's why. I interview people to determine if you have the beingness of an owner. Do you have the vision and the entrepreneurial spirit? And what is that entrepreneurial spirit? That spirit is such that you are motivated and driven by the visual concept of constructing a physical environment, whether it be a mobile PT, a cash-based business, a insurance-based business, or a hybrid practice, doesn't matter. You have the visual construct in your mind that you want to be a business leader in your community. You want to have an impact not only on the patients that you're treating and that your employees are treating, but on the people you assemble to come work with you. You want to have an impact on your community. You want to give back to your community and see that the community is enriched because you are a participant in that community as a practice leader, as a business leader. You want to enhance the ability of your referrals, your medical resources to give their patients a greater shot at optimal health. Okay. To me, physical therapy is not just about getting people out of the woods and back to their pre-morbid level. It's about getting people back to the highest possible level of health that they can achieve physically through your efforts, your education, your resources, your connections, your community place, your community connections and relationships. That's what it's about to go into business and healthcare. It's about networking and collaborating with your staff and with your community in the best interest of those that live in your neighborhood around you. That was always my motivating factor for being a physical therapist in private practice. Otherwise, I could make a good income being an entrepreneur and being a clinical director in somebody else's practice and let them have all the headaches of the administration and reimbursement, recruiting, hiring, firing, promotions, demotions, marketing, branding. Let them deal. But no, I wanted to embark upon that. If you're watching me right now, there's a good chance you're going to say, hey, I'm feeling very confident as a physical therapist. My clinical skills are really good. I'm actually able to get good results, but I want to have it done my way. I want to have a company culture that I feel good about. I want to pick the colors. I want to pick the layout. I want to pick the equipment and the programs. I want to pick the people that come to work with me and play in my sandbox and who contribute to each other's benefit, both personally and professionally. When you are that person and you are seeking to run an organization, create a company culture like that, here's what you need. You need the beingness to be able to give more in value and give more in exchange for those around you, both your patients, your employees, your referral sources, and the people in your community. That's step one, beingness. Number two, you have to get the knowledge about all of the administrative aspects of private practice that you never got in PT school. You wouldn't leave high school and go into a physical therapy clinic, get a job, start treating patients, and then enroll in PT school, start learning about physiology and PT 101 while you're treating patients, and you're just kind of learning on the job. So many people have made that mistake saying, oh, I'm a good clinician, I'll just go ahead and incorporate and I'll get some insurance contracts, or I'll just do some cash-based stuff and I'll start treating. You've got so many other elements of the art of communication, how to bring about agreement, how to establish the right payroll policy. What are the proper metrics to measure your clinic in? Get your MBA in physical therapy private practice like program, right? There's no such thing, but that's what I've tried to create in Meg Academy. I've mentally had that in my mind the whole time. Like, if I was creating an MBA-like program just for physical therapy private practice owners, what would that have to constitute? What would have to be in there? In what order and what sequence would the data need to come to them? What resources would they need? I've got 200-300 documents in there in the file vault for people to utilize. I've got all the training from startup to picking the physical environment to negotiating the lease to getting financing, all the way down to selecting the right EMR system and how to hold your billing team accountable. All the things you don't know how to measure. Get that training. If not with us, with somebody. Go to some group that has figured that out and wired it up so it's a 27-step process on how to open up your practice successfully. You don't leave anything behind. Being a do-it-yourselfer is the biggest mistake you'll make. You will waste way more time and lose way more money figuring it out on your own, listening to podcasts, reading books, watching YouTube. I mean, it's funny, you're watching YouTube now. I'm just trying to educate you as to don't make the mistakes I made. Don't make the mistakes I've seen thousands of other owners make in trying to be successful in private practice. If nothing else, they've made their runway so long, they spend 10 years doing something they could have accomplished in 3 to 4 years. Don't be that person. You went to PT school, spent $150,000 in about 5-6 years of your life to get the advanced education so you could launch yourself as a staff therapist. Day one, boots on the ground, extremely successful. 5 years after that, you are an expert clinician. That was a smart idea and a smart move. Reinvest in yourself as a clinical owner, as a clinical director, manager, recruiting officer, billing director, all of the things you never got in PT school, and then roll into opening your doors 6 months in that 6-month process. I highly recommend, sorry about the itch there, I highly recommend that you invest in yourself some time and money in advance of you swinging those doors open and trying to figure it out as you go. You're going to be far less stressed and you're going to do far better pacing yourself and getting the knowledge in advance of the time in which you need it. That is my advice to those of you who want to be a practice owner. Get the training, get the logistics, have the beingness of it's all about those around you and how you can exchange in abundance with those, and hire those that can exchange in abundance back with you so you can have work-life balance as well when you're building your practice and being a practice owner. Do not believe those people that say, well, get ready, strap in, you better be ready to work 80 hours a week and give up your vacations for 5 years. That's nonsense. Those are people that weren't educated, weren't trained, and they just bootstrapped the whole thing, and they just were the effect of every decision they made. They were the effect. They weren't at cause. They weren't working out a 27-step process. They didn't have the final vision in mind and how to get there and work back all the steps. They just stumbled onto one thing, solved it, next problem, solved it. Baptism by fire, if you will. You learn as you go, if you will, however you want to categorize it. It's all of what they didn't know that caused them to have to work those 80 hours a week. I know because I worked those 80 hours a week, and I looked to heaven and said, please, if I could only know what I didn't know, I could make all the changes in the world here. And that was my problem, and that was my fault. Now you don't have to be that. You do not have to wear that life, and you can have a very successful, very financially rewarding, and very rewarding time flexibility position in owning a private practice, unlike you've ever been able to do before. This is an absolute great time to do it. Please take my advice, learn what you didn't know, get trained, have the beingness about giving more to others, and you will be a very successful practice, because 65% of all your new patients are going to come from return business, from the effects and the experiences of patients that have already been here before. That's how you get your business to flourish and prosper. It's not hokey pokey stuff and all this advertisement and drop off stuff. That stuff helps to get the message out, but it is not the main bread and butter of why your practice will flourish and expand. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please stay tuned for more. I'm here to give you advice advice and direction, guidance, tools, technology, anything I can to help you live the life of a practice owner that you deserve for yourself.